The major reason why Boris Johnson's time as Prime Minister must now end. My name's Mike Cashman. If you find what I'm saying is interesting or useful, please subscribe to the channel. Britannia waives the rules. Now, I have been quite ready to suggest reasons why Boris Johnson's time as Prime Minister should end up till now. For example, his negotiation of a Brexit deal, which he hadn't read and didn't understand and didn't agree with once that he had signed it. He certainly should have resigned over the crony contracting scandal. Quite disgraceful, the way that public money was used to enrich cronies rather than benefiting the nation's health. And we've had the revelations about who paid for the decorations of his flat initially. We have past scandals with Jennifer Arcuri, for example, where he abused his position as Mayor of London. And we've had all the Partygate scandals. But there's one major reason why he has to go now. A lot of the earlier scandals he has brushed off, taken no notice of, assumed that they'd blow over. His response to this one is more significant, and I'll get to that response in a minute. But we can see why he's under pressure. The story, bit by bit, as it emerges and as the story is changed, as more things come out and more has to be admitted, has now become quite ridiculous. The story that we're asked to believe is that despite large numbers of parties in Downing Street and elsewhere, but let's just concentrate on Downing Street, Boris Johnson was unaware of these. So dozens and dozens of people in the building knew about these parties. Many people went to them, got drunk at them, went out to get suitcases of booze to bring back to the parties, which had to pass through Downing Street security arrangements. But in all of this, one person was blissfully unaware, namely the Prime Minister, the person in charge of the whole thing. And therefore, of course, everybody in the building must have been in a kind of conspiracy to say, don't tell the Prime Minister. What did he think was going on? How can he have been completely oblivious? What did he think was the explanation of his son's swing in the back garden getting broken in some drunken incident after a boozy party the night before Prince Philip's funeral? What explanation did anybody offer him for that? So it's quite ridiculous, the idea that Boris Johnson knew nothing of it, and it's being deflected with, wait for the Sue Gray inquiry, and when that comes out, then, as we now know from the terms of reference, Sue Gray will not explicitly say that he broke the law, because she will just retell the facts, and his supporters will rush to his side and say Sue Gray didn't say that he broke the law. But the thing is that his response to the current accusations is not to brush them off, but rather to come up with a whole series of distractions, much more so than before. So a whole lot of things were cooked up over the weekend, and here, then came the announcements. The Royal Navy are going to tackle the illegal migrants, or maybe they aren't. BBC licence fee is going to be abolished. But Nadine Dorries came to the House of Commons and then changed her tune a little bit. The paper's going to be published on levelling up to pretend that something's going to be done about that. All coronavirus restrictions are going to be removed. And so on, story after story. The point is that the country is now being governed with the objective of saving the skin of one person. So, whatever you think about coronavirus restrictions, whether we may need to have more, there may be a further variant. But Boris Johnson is now powerless to apply any. He's powerless to do anything except to trot out whatever he thinks will distract people from calling for him to resign. And that is the wrong motivation, that's the wrong basis upon which a country should be governed. I have said, I know there are some people who are totally opposed to the Tories who will say, well, leave him in office because he's now such an electoral liability that means that the general election in 2023, quite probably, or maybe early 2024, because that means that the Tories he'd be such an electoral liability that the Tories would suffer a significant defeat at the next general election. I can't bring myself to be so electorally tactical as that. The country will suffer if we have, in effect, a weak Prime Minister who is only governing in order to save his own skin. The country will suffer if we have a weak Prime Minister, and the longer we have him, the more it will suffer. He needs to be replaced by somebody who can say, I am going to offer you something better. I know there's no guarantee of the calibre of person that we would get instead, but that is not an argument for sticking with somebody totally inadequate for the role. Please write to your MP, particularly if you have a Tory MP, as people in 360 constituencies do. I've put an example letter as text to the video over YouTube where I've written an open letter to my MP. Feel free to copy bits of that if you want to. Please don't cut and paste it all, that would be not effective. But particularly if you have a Tory MP, please write to your Tory MP and ask them to do the decent thing. And if you found this interesting or useful, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.